Oh, folks, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I say another week, but we do these twice a week now. This is the chats edition of the podcast. You're going to hear an interview with the one and only Sammie G, the real Sammie G, the fake Sammie G. We'll get into that later. But before we do, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and Mark Prashan over at website AMP. The reason our sponsors are so important is because here at Rec Poker, we're a largely volunteer-based organization. Most of our stuff is free. We just passed today. We just passed a huge milestone. We got our 1,000th community member. That's 1,000 people signing up to do some of our free stuff here at Rec Poker, the podcast, the Discord, the forums, the home games, the free videos on YouTube. There's just so much cool stuff we do here that's free. I am so excited that we got 1,000 people signed up to join Rec Poker. There could not be a nicer Christmas present under the tree for me and for the other Wrecking Crew members here. So thank you to all 1,000 of you. You all get to share 1,000th of that thanks, but it goes a long way from a guy with a big heart. And I just could not be more pleased about that. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays to everybody that's out there. This episode is going to come out on Friday, December 23rd. So you got a few more days of stocking stuffers and last minute wrapping and getting all the cards signed. And those will have to be hand delivered at this point, I think. No sense getting them in the mail now. But I do want to just wish all our listeners a very happy holiday and a wonderful end to a year. This has been a year. This has been 2022 has been a year. That is an objectively true fact. I cannot wait to see what 2023 has in store. Starting with, I was going to say, well, we actually already have member 1001. Kid in college is his handle. Kevin from the Minister of Hype on Twitter, who just missed it by one. He wanted to be sign up number 1,000, but he's number 1001. So thanks for joining, Kevin. And I'm excited to be getting to know you a little better here at Rec Poker. Okay, that was kind of a rambly start here. What do you think, Chris? Have I already just derailed the show completely?
I was just gonna say, so even if Phil follows through on his threat and cancels his membership, then we still over 1,000.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, take that, Phil. With all your wholesome support. Phil, thank you for your support. We're seeing some fun comments in the chat already. If folks don't know, if you're listening to this at home, we get together and have fun like this every Monday night on YouTube at 7:30 Eastern. So thank you, Josh and Phil, for your comments so far. I will say don't come next Monday on Boxing Day, which is what we call it in Canada, on the 26th of December. We're not going to have a show. Everyone's going to be spending time with their families and loved ones. So I'm excited to say we've already recorded an interview with Nick Howard that's going to come out on December 30th. And I think people are really going to enjoy that. We had a great conversation about a number of things. We got to meet a new Wrecking Crew member. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in that interview. Like I say, tonight we're going to talk to Sammie G. We're going to talk about poker in Florida. We're going to talk about what it's like around Christmas time when your last name is Gruber. We're going to talk about the home game results and a reminder that if you're watching here live, tonight is the Make-Up Tournament of Champions for November because we had a server maintenance issue at PokerStars last week. So the asterisk is in full effect. The tournament tonight will be the official Tournament of Champions for November, and you don't want to miss that if you haven't had a chance to sign up yet. Okay. So I was so excited about member 1,000 that I completely derailed my opening track here. But if you don't know what Rec Poker is about, we're a largely enthusiastic group of poker lovers. We like to study together. We play against each other. We commiserate together. We celebrate each other's wins. We do it all trying to get better at this game because we play it for fun, but it's more fun when you win. You hear my voice a lot on the podcast. My name's Jim Reid. I'm Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on Twitter. But I'm just the guy they give the mic on Mondays. It takes a wrecking crew to make the magic happen here at Rec Poker. And I'd like to introduce you to a number of the Wrecking Crew members right here tonight. You can go to rec.poker/crew if you want to find out more about them, or you can just listen up because you're about to meet them in order of first name alphabetic order.
Now that Jim's done with his tangents.
Yeah, it took a while this time.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It was all relevant stuff. I will say, I think Boxing Day is the same worldwide. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's just different in Canada or what the deal is there, but
Oh,
that
right.
was
I
pretty
don't
funny.
know.
I think it's the same everywhere.
We'll find out. We're gonna find out tonight. Impromptu quiz. So if you're in the YouTube chat and also on the panel here, is Boxing Day a thing where you are? Just type that in, and then we'll use that as a precursor to get off to the food bank prize at the end. But Ben Enslow, what's your name and where can
Yeah,
people find you?
I'm BJamin96 on Twitch mostly is where you can find me, and soon to be on YouTube. We got it starting to get it set up now, so exciting things to come. So go give me a follow on or sub, whatever they call it on YouTube. I guess it's sub on YouTube. And I'm East Coast Bitter in the home game.
And I'm Chris Jones. It's hard to follow all this threads, but I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5v5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game.
And I am John Somsky. I'm Poker Geek MN everywhere. And I never heard of Boxing Day until I was like in my 20s.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Radman50 everywhere. And to me, it's the day after Christmas.
Yep. That's how we grew up. Boxing Day. I remember learning when I was a kid that it was because you like took your all the boxes, you would return things to the stores. It was like the day that people took things back, so you needed the boxes. If anyone knows what the actual box reference in Boxing Day is about, it's not about boxing. As far as I understand, there's nothing fisticuff related about it. We're not. No, exactly, Rob. You've got some good moves there, Rob. I like that. But yeah, Boxing Day. I see we're just being joined here by Joe Coolis, the newest member of the RECing Crew. Why don't you say hello, Joe, and tell folks how they can get to know you in the home game?
My name is Joe Coolis. You can come and take my chips in the home game pretty easily at Elvita 11 is my home game nombre.
Well, thanks for coming on. You get used to hearing from Joe, folks. Joe was in the room for our interview with Nick Howard that's going to come out next week and add some great insights into that conversation and many to come. I'm excited to welcome him onto the RECing Crew and to crack open that big brain of yours, Joe. I can't wait to see what's in there when it comes to poker and other things beyond. So I think this is normally the part of the show where we would introduce our guest. The fake Sammie G, the real Sammie G, Samantha Gruber. Like I said at the top of the show, I think, although this went off the rails so fast, I don't even remember what's real and what's not anymore. She was playing down the WPT ladies event, got a chance to rail Jamie Kerstetter, and wasn't able to make the show tonight because she's driving on her way home. So Sammie, I hope you're driving home safe, and we'll get a chance to listen to that interview at the end of the week like everybody else. So we'll just give our little cue to Renz and Roger Schutte. This is the time where you could enter that interview, and then we'll just pause here for a moment and pick it up on the other side with John Somsky taking us through some latest home game results. All right, well, I'm super excited to have Sammie Gruber, Sammie G, whether she's the real Sammie G or the fake Sammie G, we're going to find out today. But Sammie and we got a chance to play at the same table in the WSOP tag team event last year. She's been blowing up Twitter as she's taken the poker world from storm, by storm, I should say. We've got some fun little coincidental similarities in our past that I can't wait to explore. And of course, as it's near Christmas time, the name Gruber is very relevant to Christmas fans everywhere. So, Sammie, we're going to start with the question that I've started asking our guests around the holidays. Before we get into any poker stuff, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Your take.
Of course, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It's one of the best Christmas movies.
All right, there you go. And do you feel that when it came out, did you feel any sort of like special kinship with Hans, or was it kind of cool or weird that this Gruber character was taking over the box office and it shared your last name?
Sure, I think when it came out, I actually wasn't alive yet.
Oh. That's great.
Ouch.
That's great. So let's start there. So let's go back a ways here. So one of the things, so I've been following you on Twitter for a while. We've got a lot of mutual friends in the poker world. We haven't actually met before. It's the first time that you and I are talking in person. But we did get a chance to sort of play as adversaries across the table in the WSOP a little while ago. But you kind of came on the poker scene, I want to say like a couple years ago, a few years ago, out of Florida.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about, and I know it's kind of a cliche, how'd you get started in poker? But like I am kind of curious to know what your intro into poker was, and then we'll get into some of the more exciting and unique details a little later in the show.
Yeah, so I first started playing when I was about 15, with my dad and one of his friends at the, kitchen table. I had some friends that I grew up with that their families always played a lot of cards and stuff like that. So we would play other card games as well as have poker nights every once in a while. And then right when I turned 18, my dad gave me a tournament ticket, because in Florida you can play poker at 18.
Mm.
And I ended up chopping that tournament 3 ways. There's a picture of me that I don't even know how to stack my chips. I just have like piles of chips in front of me. My dad's trying to be like, okay, you can stack them like this and all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, didn't know what was going on. And I was actually still in high school. I'd been 18 for about 3 days probably.
Nice.
And then I just played a lot of tournaments with my dad that entire summer until I went off to college. Just playing any tournament that I could, probably try to play 3 to 5 live tournaments a week, which is, for where I'm from, that's a lot of tournaments because you have to drive like an hour.
I was going to ask that. So where were you based at this time, and which what were the venues that you were playing these tournaments in?
Yeah, so I'm from Vero Beach, Florida, and yep, my family's been there a long time. My grandpa was born there, and my mom and I, we were all born there, and so we are playing the $60 5K at Melbourne. So Club 52 in Melbourne, Florida. They, at the time, Fort Pierce, High had some tournaments. Then there were charity tournaments that were in Port St. Lucie that were at a bowling alley and then got moved to like a strip mall arcade. And every once in a while, we would maybe go to the Kennel Club or the Isle or maybe Best Bet or Daytona. Kind of just East Coast for the most part.
Cool. And that was obviously something that you and your dad had in common, and must have been a great bonding experience for you two. Did he tell me a little bit about his poker story and sort of how it's impacted your own pursuit of this game?
Yeah, my dad really, really loves poker, and it was something that he did to like supplement income for a while, mostly playing tournament poker. And um, it's just one of those things that like right when I turned 18, he was so excited to bring me to the card room and to like introduce me to like the tournament poker world, basically.
That's awesome. And then there was just no looking back, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so what happened next? I know you've I love that photo you've got up there of your first bag, and like you're the only person I know who's like smiling as often as I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. But so what was that like, your first bag, and sort of like I know you're still going to school and so fitting poker in around there, but it was becoming a more and more serious part of your life. Just speak to that a little, please.
Yeah, my first bag, I was 20. It was, I guess, 3 years ago, almost exactly today, I think, pretty close.
Cool.
I had, this was the second time I'd ever played in a multi-day tournament. It was at the Kennel Club in West Palm. And I was super, super excited when I bagged, and I was like, oh, I gotta get a picture. The dealer got a picture of me. I was like, this is so exciting. And I was like, let me post this on Twitter. Normally Twitter was just yelling into the void. That's fine. Like I had a couple of people from high school who followed me, nothing crazy. And then like a ton of people saw it. Like, you know, it was really insane to me. I woke up the next morning and I, had like basically tripled my followers in one day. And all of these people are wishing me good luck and all of these things. And I ended up making some of my absolute best friends from this interaction. I was super, super lucky. Got put in some group chat with people who play a bunch of Werewolf. I've been playing Werewolf since I was probably 13 or 14. And just getting in with that entire group opened up like a ton of opportunities for me. Then I'm also in school. I'm still in school, actually. I'm in my 6th year of undergrad.
Yeah.
I haven't dropped out yet. We'll see what happens. And it's I mean, I haven't been full time with school in a couple years, trying to put more time towards other things, poker included. And it's kind of hard. It's a little challenging. School's hard. I don't like it as much as I used to, but
Right.
I'm moving back and giving it another shot for spring.
What's your discipline? What are you studying?
I'm studying applied math
Oh, okay.
specifically.
Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, not easy. But at least it's kind of working some of the same parts of your brain that you're using when you play poker. Is that true, or is that just a gross simple oversimplification for non-mathematicians like myself?
I think a lot of people think that if I'm studying math, that it's going to be a lot of poker knowledge, but I'd say most of the math that I've ever had to do for poker is like very, very different from what I'm studying.
Mm.
There's math is like just such a like a wide range of things, and I don't know. I spent a whole class that was like heat on a rod. Like that's an entirety of a class, basically. That's all you learn about, and like how strings move, and you're just like, this is way, way beyond what anything I've had to do for poker.
I see.
I would be very
Joe,
surprised.
Joe, yeah.
I would be very surprised if complex differential equations comes into play, and too often when you're trying to figure out odd odds.
Yeah, but it is something that people say because, you know, when I first started playing poker and I was studying math, I was like, especially when I would go places that I didn't go very often, people would be like, "Oh, what are you studying?" And I was just like, "I go to Florida State. I'm studying partying." Because I didn't want to be like, I'm studying math. And I tell people now, and I get so many different reactions to it. Most people don't know what applied math is compared to all the other types of math and stuff like that.
Well, I got really involved in my student union and student politics when I was doing my undergrad. And so I also took a reduced course load and spread out the time that I was doing that degree. And it was the best decision I ever made. I met my wife in my last year that I wouldn't have even gone to school if I'd done my typical 4-year degree. And I learned a lot about life and about myself, and about other people and the world and politics during that time that, again, I would have missed out on if I had just buried my nose in the books and just done that. So I'm sure you're getting a lot of great experiences there. And it sounds like you also value the actual value of the degree, which is smart. Like it's just something, finishing it up is something you'll never regret, I'm sure. Is that the way you feel?
I am really not sure. I'm really not. I get advice from all sorts of people from all different backgrounds with so many different perspectives, and that's one of the very cool things that I get from being involved in the poker world. And that's something that I really value a lot. And I get every possible answer. I get, you should drop out. You should party more, which is what my dad normally says. You should, finish it. You'll never be able to do this again. Or, poker will always be there, or school will always be there. And it's just every possible answer. But I mean, I'm just gonna try it again. Like that's kind of it. Like I think that if I say it enough, I'll do it.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Joe, jump in.
So you're kind of wandering into my wheelhouse. I went to school just about forever, and ended up getting a PhD at the very end. And I still wish I was in school longer because it was probably some of the most interesting times of my life. But what I will say is everybody's wrong about everything they've told you to some degree. The only thing that school guarantees for you is that it will push off and decrease the likelihood that you will live in poverty at some point in your life. If you have a degree, regardless of what happens or changes in the future, you're much, much less likely to be poor or fall below the poverty line. Everything else is really more about what it is that you want to do and what you want to experience. It's not for everybody, and lots of people do well without college degrees, but that's what you can count on from a college degree.
So what so now I know you tweeted recently that you sort of planned this trip to Vegas for a couple months. Then you sort of like looked at the clock and like, oh my God, it's been half a year. What was the impetus for this trip? And what do I mean, you've ascended in the poker world since that time that we finished talking about, where you were playing charity tournaments and hanging out with your dad. And I'm sure you feel like you've kind of pivoted to a greater role in the poker world. What does that feel like? And just kind of talk us through what the last 6 or 7 months have been like for you.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like springtime, and I've been doing some work for Rungood for the last couple of years, just
Ah,
online stuff and traveling some last summer, because the series was in the fall last year.
well, let me stop you there for a sec. What kind of work with Rungood? We love Rungood. We're big Rungood fans, and I love collaborating with them. What was your role with them?
Yeah, so I was initially just working on a Twitch stream that they were doing. They needed some help, and I, was summer or close to summer a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, I can help you guys out. I know a little bit about Twitch, but it was fun working on that. And then last year they were like, oh, like you should just like come and follow a couple of Run Good stops around, and then if you can, like, if you have time to, like, or if we have a chance for you to sell t-shirts, you can actually make some money as well and place them. And I was like, well, that sounds awesome. And I'd never
Yeah.
really traveled like that before, especially not by myself. Um, and so that was cool. And I enjoyed that a lot. And I went back to school and I was like, oh man, normal life. This is weird. Like, um, so then at the, in the spring earlier this year, uh, Haley Hochstetler was
Yep.
like, you should come out to Vegas for in 2 months for the whole World Series. And I was like, cool, I would do that if I could get a job. Like, I can't just go out there and play for the entire time. And she goes, yeah, okay. I was like, what? And
Yeah,
so
she's great. I love
she
it.
got me
She's
a
fantastic.
job selling t-shirts for Poker Go at the World Series. So I got to meet a ton of people through that. Just it's always people buying t-shirts and hoodies and coming by and asking me questions, and I had to figure out how to get anywhere in Bally's in Paris. It was super funny. Like, people from other booths would send people to me to get directions because I had I had it all mapped out in my head, and I was okay at telling people how to get from place to place. And towards the end of that, Haley was like, you should travel full time with Run Good for a semester. I was like, okay. So I had planned on, after the World Series, going back to Florida, grabbing the rest of my stuff because I only had my summer stuff, which I guess is most of what Florida stuff
For
is.
Florida, yeah.
I had like one pair of jeans, like, and a bunch of hoodies because I wear hoodies when I play. But I ended up not going back to Florida and just stopping in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I was like, and I guess I live here now. Like,
The
and
life of a
so
poker traveler, right?
I was just like, oh, I guess I live here now. And I've been back to Florida once for about 5 or 6 days since then, and I didn't even make it very far into Florida. I just stopped in Tallahassee for like Halloween. I had so yeah, then been doing just traveled full time with Run Good for a semester, met a ton of people, so many. Even I was just in Vegas recently for WPT, and people were asking me Run Good questions because they recognized me from Run Good, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
I love that. And so I often start the interviews by asking our guests to kind of place themselves inside the poker world. You're kind of in a mix of roles right now. I feel like you're affiliated with Run Good, like you talked about. You've been working with them professionally. You're a player. You're a student. How would you characterize your own role in the poker world right now? Are you a poker pro? Or are you a serious amateur? When people ask you about your role in the poker world, how would you describe yourself?
I just really like to play poker, and I also enjoy working in the industry and kind of seeing the behind the scenes of uh, a lot of different parts of poker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm not a professional player. I have not done very well this year, honestly, but it's been really fun. I've been, taking shots in tournaments that are definitely a little bit bigger than what I'm used to, which has been really, really fun, tag team included.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was
And
a real cool trip for me too. And you got to play with your dad in the tag team
mhm,
event, right? So
yeah,
I mean that must have been like a dream come true for both of you.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So that was actually my dad's first WSOP tournament ever.
Amazing. Amazing.
And it turned out that the ladies event and the tag team were like right next to each other, right? So my dad planned a week to come out and play in the tag team and then hang out while I was playing in the ladies event. Uh, so it was super fun. I had a great time playing with him, and I got to, show him around Vegas a little bit. So I'd already been there for like a month, and I was like, oh, we got to go eat here. We got to go play the $60 South Point, which is much more my speed. Um, I got to play in the tag team with him, which was super fun. We had matching hoodies for every day, by the way. We had it planned out.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
That's great.
And it was super cool. And I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it. And then I played in the ladies event, which I bagged in that I did not cash again.
Mm.
But the next time, this time I got a lot closer.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
So
but yeah, no, it was super fun, and I always enjoy hanging out with my dad.
yeah, well, a real feather in his cap, I'm sure. That must have been a real proud moment for him to be able to play his first bracelet event with you. I can only imagine. So what is different about the higher buy-in tournaments that you've been playing that you're saying there's just like not the ones that you're used to? And we won't worry about results because results are a stupid way to analyze success as a poker player. But when it comes to the gameplay, the strategy, what feels different? Like what kind of adjustments do you wish you'd made or have you made? Talk a little bit about how it's different playing in the different levels of tournaments.
For me, the biggest difference is just bankroll. It's a large portion of my bankroll to be playing in 1Ks and bigger, basically. So I think that just adds extra stress to me in some ways. But I just, strategy wise, I'm not so sure. Like, it depends. I made it to the second day of the WPT Prime recently, and my table was like a much tougher table draw than I wanted. But
Right.
most of the time I don't, know the people that I'm playing against. Or when I play in ladies events, I actually personally know a lot of the people that I play with. So they're all different. I strategy wise, I don't really know. I People think that I'm probably, since I'm more math orientated, I study a ton and memorize all these things and know all the how to adjust the strategy. And it's like, I mean, I do study, but not enough to be like, oh, when you play in a $60 tournament, I don't know, people are worse. Like,
Right.
like,
They make bigger mistakes, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and it's like, um, but yeah, it's just bankroll. Bankroll is the biggest thing for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I've always had to have really good bankroll management. I learned it from the very first time that I ever gambled, and haven't really been allowed to make any mistakes.
Yep. I think bankroll management is such a crucial role for, I mean, it's less crucial for recreational players because it's not really a bankroll so much as a budget. It's like a hobby that if they lose it, they can just reload. But I think it really cultivates a more professional mindset about the game, and I think it removes kind of that stress from playing above your level that you don't have to worry about. So I think bankroll management is not a sexy part of poker, like game selection is not a sexy part of poker, but it's a crucial skill for people that want to improve. Joe, did you have something there?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say, Sammie, that I actually have that same picture of me with the chips kind of all played out, but I only started playing poker about 5 years ago, so I was in my 40s when that happened. So it's not nearly as cute. But but that actually kind of brings me to my question: is you said that you know a lot of the women players personally, given your interactions with poker. And since you are significantly lower, they're younger rather, there's kind of a discrepancy between when women actually a lot of times get involved in poker. A lot of times they say that they get involved when family responsibilities have ended for them. Do you feel like your journey has been different because you started younger as a woman coming into the field compared to theirs?
Oh, absolutely. I only know two women who play that are younger than I am. Like, and for a long time when I was 18 playing, like I mean, even at 23, I don't know a ton of people younger than me. But I started playing at 18, which is younger than you can even play in other states. And I was like, are there even other people out there like that are me basically in other parts of the country? And I mean, the answer is yes, but it's like I only know about two of them, like, and it's crazy. It's definitely different. I know a lot of my friends back home like don't really understand because they're not they're just not poker players, which is totally fine. It's a part of my life that I can't particularly share with them. That's okay. I can't share math with everybody or, certain, my other hobbies basically. But um, yeah, definitely different. Definitely different. I, for a long time, when I was playing, thought that I had like a lot more weight to carry, basically. That when I made a mistake, that there were other women in poker that were being not like hurt, but like affected by my mistake because I was the only person that looked like me. I've kind of gotten over that a little bit now that I've met so many other women in poker that are just like, yeah, guys don't care. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like some random 18-year-old dude in Florida does not care. Like uh but just stuff like that. Yeah, it was different. I only from traveling and stuff like this have I met other people that are easy to relate to.
So, kind of as a follow-up, a good portion of what you're going to see at most live tables is going to be, young men playing poker who, to some degree, are trying to live the outlaw lifestyle, as well as older men who've been playing the game for years, and that hasn't always been a friendly environment for women, particularly for young women. How do you manage that when you're playing in a variety of these venues?
Yeah, it can get overwhelming sometimes. I did grow up with a lot of guy friends. I grew up playing a lot of very toxic video games with a lot of harassment, not just towards women, just towards other players in general. Uh, also games that specifically the players harass women or, young girls, which is what I was growing up playing these games. Um, So I'd say I have pretty thick skin compared to just maybe the average person, even from these situations. And I'm not gonna lie, one of the ways that I deal with it is I cry sometimes, but like off the table generally. Um, it's only happened a couple times. It's never been anything like game specific, but just more like somebody did or said something. Um, I do remember, I didn't cry from this story actually, but I do remember I was 19 years old and I was playing poker and I raised we were playing a tournament, normal raise. And this guy at the other end of the table said, "Hey, who did that?" And I was like, "Well, the chips are right in front of me. Like, you're supposed to be paying attention, like, whatever." But, I raised my hand. And it was at the time that would stay pretty quiet at the table, just trying to take in as much information as I could, basically. And this guy looked at me when it was his turn and he goes, "Well, what are you even doing here? You should be at home making lunch for your boyfriend." And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, is this real right now? Like, did somebody really just like say this to my face? Like some 60 plus year old man just, and am I allowed to curse on here? Because the rest of the quote, okay, so I just wanted to make sure because I didn't say anything. I was
Always
just
good
like,
to check. Yeah.
yeah, I was like sitting there and I was like, it's like, oh my God. And someone who I'd met through poker, her name is Kim. She was just some lady who always had my back, always watching out for me, especially when I first started playing. And she's always asking my dad still how I'm doing when he goes and plays there. She looked across the table at him and said, "Hey, how about you go fuck yourself?" And I was like, and I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, what is the dealer didn't care at all, didn't even pay attention to any of this interaction. And then on break, Kim pulled me aside and was like, hey, you know, these guys are dying out, right?
I mean, let's hope so, right? Honestly,
Yeah.
That's what I was like, okay. Like,
yeah. Well, it's a real, I mean, it's something that obviously the poker community needs to do better, and all the talk that we have about it, because it is a subject that we discuss here, not just for women, but for other people that are made fun of or berated at the table. You know, it's a universal problem, and the answer just seems to be we need to curate our membership better. We need to be we need to tell people at the table that that kind of shit is not in, that we're just not going to
absolutely.
tolerate that as a community, because it's a self-policing problem. If even, and I'm just going to use women as an example here, even if you're at the table and it's only guys there and people are making comments about women that are not appropriate because there's no one around to hear, like it's on all of us to step in and just say, like, you know, that's not on, like, you know, check yourself. And the world's full of different people, and we want all of them at the poker table. We want them all to feel comfortable here, and we'd all like for someone else to come fix this problem, but we need to fix this ourselves in every day that we're in the poker world.
I'm just going to jump in. I think it's a good moment to say is that the literature in terms of these things suggests that anytime anybody individually speaks up, it increases the likelihood that other people who may feel the same thing at the table will speak up. And so even if you feel like, oh, if I speak up, I'm going to be the target of this guy's ire. In general, what happens is people start to also come into play. So if you're ever sitting at the table, if anybody listening, if you're ever sitting at the table and you see something that is clearly rude or ridiculous or dangerous, just speak up, because you'll probably have about 4 or 5 people at your back.
Man,
Yeah.
you should call that the Spartacus effect.
Yes, and it happens in women, you know, ladies events as well, just in women's tournaments where people will say something, you know, rude about other women and things like that. And I found myself and telling my friends that I'm just like, I'm gonna be the person that like shuts that down. Like,
Yeah.
And it happens a little bit more often in ladies events than I'd like to think, but just yeah, it's a big deal, I think. And I know that I have kind of opened up the world a little bit for my dad as well, who he was just like, oh, like, you know, how do I help? And it's like, here you go. But yeah, I really enjoy playing in ladies events, and I think that just having a community of women has been very, very beneficial for me as a poker player and just as a person.
Joe, did you have anything else there? Okay.
No, I was just going to say that it's not just your dad's responsibility, though, that it really does come down to men in particular to do the work, because we can't expect ladies to, or women, excuse me, to do the work for themselves in that situation, because there's just not enough. And quite frankly, it's our fault at this point for creating this particular environment. So men out there, start speaking up.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do. I'm requiring you from now on to speak up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, Sammie, you've talked about sort of the community of poker that you've surrounded yourself with. Obviously, here at RecPoker, we're big believers in that. You know, I myself, when I started learning poker, I was a lurker. I read books on my own. I listened to podcasts. I watched the videos, but and I had some success, but I often regret the opportunity cost of not getting involved with the community earlier and kind of sharing my doubts and sharing my errors and like learning from other people's mistakes and not just having to learn from my own damn mistakes all the time, because that gets expensive and painful. What kind of community specifically have you managed to find or create? And is that where, like you talked about studying as well? I'm kind of curious, when you study these days, however you define it, is that something that you're doing on your own or with other people, or how are those two concepts related in your mind?
Yeah, so I think that I've been super lucky to get in with a group of people who like really care about me and have always got my back, especially when I'm, spending a lot of time in places that, most people would think maybe a little dangerous, or traveling a lot, going to places I've never been before. And
Mhm.
it's very, very nice to have a group of people that um, always have my back, or always watching out for me. I don't want to be like they're always worried about me, but in a little bit they are. And I have so many friends that are like, oh, no, no, I'm your poker mom. And it's just like a ton of people, like a long list of people. Um, Even just the other day, I was talking about school and somebody said, I don't want to sound like your mom. And I was like, don't worry, you can, just add you to the list at this point. Like, and I think that it's funny talking to my mom about it, who does not play poker, that she feels a little bit more comfortable that so many people wanted to,
Hmm.
like, you know, not take care of me, but watch out for me.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
Studying wise, when I first started playing poker, I did not study at all. My dad was like, I don't want you to study something that's bad and wrong, and then you have to unlearn it. When you eventually do study, I want you to make sure that you're getting good information from qualified people and stuff like that. So then when I did first start studying, it was a lot of, I was just getting coaching, and it was very, I think it was, pretty helpful, as well as just having a community of other people that were also being coach, so that we could go over hand histories and review things, study some sims and stuff like that. But now I just do some individual studying, nothing crazy, a lot of pre-flop charts and just post-flop clicking buttons that they tell you when you do good or not. And I really enjoy that a lot.
Do you use like a tool or software for that in particular?
I don't even know what the app is called. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was looking at GTO Wizard though. I've heard a lot of really good things about that.
Yeah, they've come on the scene recently.
I just have some random phone app. I don't
Yeah.
even I one of the cool things about studying math is I get to know, or I get to understand how they get this information a little bit more.
Right.
I do really like using Floptimal for pre-flop stuff. I think that they're really, really great. Um, I'm always telling everyone about it because I was like, it's colorblind friendly. Isn't that crazy? It has a good
Yeah.
user interface, and all of the charts are run well, basically. Like, um, I know the person who runs all of the Sims for it, basically, and they know what
Ah,
they're doing. And um it's just very, very interesting to talk to people who like also run things, but I'm just like, oh, but you don't know. You don't, I mean, this is where me knowing a little bit more about math has been helpful. I'm just like, oh no. Like,
you don't know what
like,
you're doing over there. Yeah, yeah.
like, oh, like you don't even run homework like that in school. Like you gotta like, oh man. So I have a lot of opinions about all this stuff, but I'll try to not get too crazy.
Well, no, but honestly, I mean, I think there's a lot of different kinds of programs and training software and apps and that kind of stuff out there, and we all kind of assume that the people that put it together, they know poker, they know math, they know programming, but of course, that's pretty rare for someone to actually know those three things well enough to do something that's really successful. So, we're kind of just taking it on faith that these charts, and it's such an esoteric subject too. It's like the GTO shoving ranges at 20 big blinds. It's like you can't just flip to the back of the textbook and like find out what the objective truth is about that. It's all based on the assumptions that you make in your programming. So I think it's definitely something
Yeah.
worth talking about.
Yeah, why? Yeah, so lots of things about why the charts look like they do. And just, yeah, exactly, the 20 big blind thing, where it's like, well, not everybody has 20 big blinds, which is some of the newer stuff that's coming out has been a lot better. Um, Game theory is complicated, is what the real answer is. Uh, and one of the reasons I stayed in school so long is that there was a class in college, Florida State, for game theory, game theory for math majors. And I was like, I'm so excited, except they only offer it every other year, once a semester. And I was like, all right, here we go. It's supposed to be like this year or something. I don't remember. It's like even years, whatever. They don't offer the class anymore. I've been in school so long, they actually don't offer the class anymore. And I missed it. And I was like, what am I even doing here? And like, this is why I stayed so long, because I missed it. And I missed it for real. Like, it's gone. Like, yeah, I find game theory interesting. I have a minor in economics and a minor in business that I've already completed to do a little bit of game theory with just basic economics. And the other thing about how I think about, I was like, can these people be very good at running charts? It's some of them are, like, some of them are very well done, but it's like I look at the user interface on a lot of poker programs, and it is just really bad. Like even ones that I use like often, I'm just like, does this like stop new players from joining because normal people have like a threshold for user interface, right? Like, oh man, I just think about WSOP.com and how like I really despise playing on there when I'm in Nevada. And I was like, how is this like, how does this happen? Why are they all, why Bravo, the Bravo app? This is a big thing. Poker Atlas, awesome. Nobody uses it. Like, Bravo. It hasn't been updated in like 5 years. Like,
yep. My dad was in advertising, and when I was growing up, I would see just terrible commercials come out, and it would be great comfort to me, actually, because I would think like, you know what, I'm going to be okay in this world because someone got paid to produce this ad and execute, and then someone else at the company that they're representing decided, yes, I want this to be the ambassador for our company. And I've taken great comfort from that, to be honest with you. So it must be a similar kind of feeling when you're like, so this is what it takes to make it. Joe?
I was just saying, I take, it warms the cockles of my heart that you mentioned the very first thing out of the gate you say is, well, this is colorblind friendly. Because my son, who has red hair, is colorblind. And there have been times when he's been looking at his chips and I'm like, I know one of these is the chip that I need to play, but I can't tell which one. And then I pointed out, and he's like, oh, okay, now I'm good. So that's great. It's great that you notice things like that.
yeah, I mean, video games have had colorblind options for like years, basically. And you go and you look at any mainstream chart for, poker, and it's red and green. And you're like,
right.
How do you pick the two worst color options like every time? And then they're like, actually it's red, green, and then like dark red.
Right.
And there's not a lot of colorblind women, but I do have a lot of friends who are colorblind, and like even poker chip sets where the two most common cash colored are red and green, and you're like, why do you literally like? And then you go to tournament chips and they have markings that are like half the chip, and they're all the same color on all of them, so you can't even tell when you have a dirty stack. And I think that everybody should have the opportunity to play on a level playing field. And it is in poker, something that in live poker is very important, is that you have a general idea of how many chips someone has, right? You don't have the right to an exact count of their chips at any time, but you do have the right to see their chips and have a general idea of how much they have. And when you have chip sets that are hard for people who are colorblind to differentiate, they are playing at a disadvantage.
And also, I mean, the bandwidth, the mental bandwidth that we have at the table is a finite thing. And so if you need to spend some of your active brain power thinking about the denominations of the chips because you can't just tell from the color, that's a real handicap towards what you could be using that brain power for when it comes to thinking about bet sizes or betting lines or opponent tendencies or that kind of thing. I do think there's real cost to that.
Yeah, as well as there are some places that their tournament chips don't have numbers on them, and when they're stacked, you can't see the numbers anyways. So
right,
it's just like, I was like, how is this like even possible? But I mean, then like I said, oh man, I already trashed WSOP.com. I want them to be better, is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, I
It's like-
want
it's like
to
people-
enjoy my experience playing on it, because they have a lot of really great tournaments that they do. And I find it hard for me to like enjoy it. And I just want them to be good. Like,
Yeah, it
it's
comes from a
not-
place of love, right? It's like people
Yes.
that people think that you can't critique your country because it's not patriotic. It's like, no, it's because I want it to be better. Like we want these things to be better. So of course we have to critique the areas where we think we can improve, but it comes from a place of love. So get your shit together, WSOP. Come on.
Just wanted to announce that we are not going to be sponsored by WSOP.
Yeah.
That's what It's like, let me work for you and make it better. How about
There you go. Yeah, exactly. We're being the voice for change. There you go. So a couple other questions I had. I mean, this conversation is, I'm having such a great time with it, but I don't want to keep you forever. We've already gone longer
I'm
than I
having a
told
great
you we
time,
would.
so.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Sammie. Me too. So as you've kind of gotten further into the poker world, the games that you've played have elevated. Your own poker learning has elevated. Can you give me any concrete examples of sort of like strategic elements or epiphanies that you've had that kind of surprised you as you've developed this deeper understanding of the game?
Yeah, I think that one of the most important things that I've learned from poker that impact other parts of my life are, you can do everything right and lose, and you can do everything wrong and win.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I was just like, applied to other aspects of my life, where it's like, you can try really hard for something that never ends up happening. And that's okay, because you'll just fire another bullet. And the other thing, I've gained a lot of this information from my dad and through his experiences and things like that, where, not everything's the end of the world. Like, a couple months ago, my dad was like, nothing's that big of a deal, and you can do whatever you want. And I was like, oh, okay, like I will, like, and we'll just see what happens. And poker has definitely given me the opportunity to, understand that you can just kind of, I like, it's some kind of freedom, right? So like, I'm working jobs, but I'm also doing these things. But I have gotten to see things all over the country, things I've never seen. I saw snow like yesterday driving through Arizona, and I was like, I haven't seen snow in like 10 years. But I don't know where I was going with this, but I feel like I've been very lucky to grow up in such a small, tiny town, and then get to see things that I think are so cool and huge. And here you can't even build a building over 4 stories, and then you go to Vegas and they have the Strat, like, and that's what I've enjoyed the most from all of this, is that I am so easily amused. When I was in college, I went to a movie theater that had a bar inside of it, and I was like, oh my God. Like, is this allowed? Like, and then oh man, yeah, I love it all. I just think that I have such a cool, silly life that I just get to do weird stuff. Have a great time.
That sounds like a great thing to put on a tombstone. Honestly, I had a cool, silly life. We should all aspire to that. I love that
But it
idea.
feels like,
How about a T-shirt instead of a tombstone?
Okay, we'll have to get so dark all of a sudden over here, Jim. Yeah, good point. Fair enough. Well, let's talk a little bit about Vero Beach, because people might not know, but my grandparents also lived in Vero Beach for a long time, and it is this tiny little town in Florida. But it sounds like we both have a lot of great memories from there. One of my favorite bookstores in the world is in Vero Beach. I don't know if you know it. It's just this one bit. I don't even remember the address because I went there when I was a kid all the time. But
yeah,
I would go down.
I would go down
the
bookstore, I assume.
Yeah,
right?
it's the bookstore. Yeah, it's the Vero Beach bookstore. But I would go down as a kid and visit my grandparents once or twice a year, and my dad and I would always go to this bookstore and I'd get, a new book, one of the Bernard Cornwell's Sharp series books or something like that, something about fantasy or historical fiction usually. And I just have so many wonderful memories about there. And do you remember a restaurant called Charlie Brown's by any chance? Does that ring a bell with you?
I do not actually.
Okay, they closed probably longer ago than I want to credit. But again, for a young person going down there, I just remember it was the first like salad bar that I'd ever. Like you talk about being easily amused, right? It was the first place I'd ever went that had like a salad bar that was the whole length of the place, and you get everything from like lettuce to Jello all in the same place. I just remember that blowing my mind. We would go there every single time. What do you do? What did you do to entertain yourself when you were growing up in Vero Beach? Because for me, it was just a place to come visit my grandparents, spend some time at the ocean and not freeze my butt off in Canada. But what was it like for you?
Yeah, let's see. So for people who don't know, Vero is actually so small that we just got our second Taco Bell and our first Popeyes. And my family's been there a long time. Being in high school when you can finally drive around and stuff, it was just like mostly going to the beach, going to the bowling alley. Yep. We got 2 movie theaters, so going to one of the movie theaters. And I mean, at that point, the mall was already pretty dead. It's mostly just like going and getting food and just
Yep.
like hanging out with your friends in the woods. Like, going to the beach. Um,
The
yeah, I mean,
Royal
I drive
Palm
like a.
Point Fountain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Royal Palm Point Fountain. Is that the place to
Yep.
be?
No, maybe. It wasn't for me anyways. Like, uh, yeah, I mean, I also went to high school in Fort Pierce. So I had a lot of friends that lived in like different towns and stuff, but even then it was still very just driving around, trying not to get into too much trouble. Uh, which is very funny. It's pretty much the exact same thing that my mom did when she grew up in Vero,
Right.
like, 30 plus years before.
And did both your folks grow up there, or did your dad grow up somewhere else and they met
Yeah.
elsewhere?
So my dad's from Michigan.
Mm.
And then went to high school and college in New Mexico and moved to Florida for golf. He was a golf
Smart.
professional for a long time.
Cool. Your dad sounds like a fun character.
Oh, he's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He actually recently quit his job as a golf professional to open up a business in Vero Beach.
Hmm.
So, pretty excited about that.
Well, give that business a little plug here on the show in case any of our audience members are heading down to Vero. Who should they check out?
All right, so at the old patio, sometime in I think January or February, there will be a golf simulator bar and grill called the 19th Hole.
I like it.
Yes, I'm super excited. I may own a portion of it
Oh, wow.
with no voting rights or anything. I'm just kind of
You got an equity share. That's
oh
all
yeah.
right.
My dad was like, here, I own a business the same way everyone my age does. Your parents put your name on a piece of paper. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be great. They're gonna have 3 really big golf simulators in there. My dad was a golf teacher for a very, very long time. And it's gonna be inside, which is great in Florida.
Right.
But yeah, the patio is like a classic Vero Beach spot that has been kind of empty for the last couple years, I would say. It's one of those old, like, I don't know, the building's like 100 years old or something. And I say that it's probably like 100 years old or something. Like actually, it's a very old building.
Yeah.
But yeah, my family has been there for my grandpa was born somewhere around 1929. So we're moving close to being there for 100 years.
Yeah, the century mark. That's awesome.
And it's just a town that I really love, and I'm really excited to go back in a couple days. I'll be there. I'm shooting for Christmas Eve.
Nice. Well, I know Joe's got another question, but I just want to ask, do you see yourself settling down in Vero? Is it the place that you're planning to call home? Or are you undecided on that point? What are your thoughts when you look to the future? How certain do any of these things feel to you right now?
Oh yeah, I don't like to plan too far ahead. I've been a little too lucky so far, and I don't want to get in the way of that by making plans.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. And Joe?
I didn't. I just actually Googled the 19th hole, and I was just going to say that the doors on the building look fantastic. They're very. If you go look at, they're big and they're arched, and it's actually a very cool looking building. So hope it
Yeah,
does well.
it's a very cool building, and it was full of so many random items. The just classic Vero cast iron. I don't know. Just there's a lot of stuff in there initially.
Yes, as a random aside, I'm sorry.
No.
I just say as a random aside, I used to work in a place called Tisch Mills, Wisconsin, called a sandwich theater, which was this really old bar way out in the middle of nowhere. And they would regularly be pulling apart the building to renovate it. And then like all of these weird things would fall out because it was so old. And that was some of the funnest things to look at. So I hear you.
Totally. Yeah, well, my Nana is still with us actually. And so next time I'm down in Vero, I'll make sure to go by and check it out. I love golf. It's there's a lot in common between golf and poker actually. So it doesn't surprise me that your dad's a big fan of both. That makes a lot of sense.
Mostly swearing.
A lot of that. A lot of
both in golf and poker.
Yeah.
A lot of why did that happen?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, Sammie, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you think you'd like the poker world to know, or is there anything that are there any questions that you have for us about what we're doing here, or is there anything else on your mind before we close this out?
No, I think we're good. I really enjoy what you guys do, so just happy to be a part of this.
Right on. Well, it was a wonderful conversation. I can't wait to have you on the show sometime again soon after you win your first bracelet. And in the meantime, I guess we'll just have to catch up at a Rungood event sometime in 2023, I'm hoping.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right. Well, thank you, Sammie. Thank you, Joe. And now we'll get back to the show. Wow, another banger. I sometimes I think these interviews that we don't have are among our best. That one just really she's such a character, that Sammie G. I was so surprised. Some of those stories growing up in Vero Beach really shocked me. What about you guys?
You really nailed the audio cues there, Jim. I must say, really killed it there.
Far fewer mistakes than normal. Far fewer.
Well, that leaves a lot of room to run, because that starts off at a pretty long list. So that's not quite the compliment that people might think it is. So I'm looking forward to hearing that interview with Sammie. She and I got a chance to play in the WSOP tag team event, not as teammates. I was playing with phenomenal human George Sanford, and I believe Sammie was playing with her dad, but we were playing at the same table, and we got to trade a few pots back and forth. And yeah, she's a great poker player, and from all accounts, a wonderful human as well. So I'm looking forward to getting to know her a little better on the show. It's true that she comes from a town in Florida that I used to spend a lot of time when I was younger, called Vero Beach, and it's got what I, as a child, considered to be the greatest bookstore in the world. Would spend a lot of time there, and so I'm saying in advance that was a fun interview with Sammie. So why don't folks start typing the words food bank into the chat here, and then when John Somsky finishes up the home game results from the last week, we can get into the prize and see if anyone on the RECing Crew here has something they'd like to add about what's coming up and our farewell messages for the little that is left of 2022.
Well, for those of you new to Rec Poker or living under a rock, Rec Poker has over 40 free-to-play home game tournaments each month. The first Wednesday of each month is the No Limit Hold'em series with a Player of the Year points race. The second Wednesday is a mixed game series, also with a Player of the Year points race. Every other day of the month has one or more daily series events, including a monthly Tournament of Champions. If you want to compete in the toughest online play money games around and have a chance to earn coveted Rec Poker pins, you can join the Rec Poker PokerStars Community Home Game Club. Check out rec.poker website for more information about how to join and all of the tournaments available. Also, make sure to update the extra tab in your RecPoker profile if you want to have your real name announced when you win a tournament. All right, so now we are on to the games. The first thing I should be announcing is the winner of the TOC, but the Tournament of Champions was, as Jim mentioned earlier, delayed and is going to be played tonight, so I will give you that information next week. But we do have a mixed game championship series, and on December 14th, Be the Kid Brian Morey won his first mixed game event of the year.
And I think didn't Brian win his first No Limit Hold'em game the week before?
Exactly. He decided he wanted to make it to the Tournament of Champions for both of those, just under the wire, winning both events for our point series in December.
Wow, that's amazing. Hats off to you, Brian. Well done. That's very impressive.
And then we have Evil Roy CA got his 11th nightly victory for the year and his 45th victory lifetime. So he's now only 5 away and tied with Doug Drabeck to be the first in the coveted 50 wins. Keto Man 335, Kian Tavakoli got his second nightly victory for the year. Black Spruce EV got his or her first nightly victory for the year.
Right on. Way to go, Black Spruce.
K-Poker Wannabe Ron Payton got his third nightly victory for the year. Mudslinger 1942 Jack Pastel got his fourth nightly victory for the year. And Swedish Fishy Lars got his fourth nightly victory for the year. And then, not to be outdone, K-Poker Wannabe Ron Payton came back and won a second event. He won the mixed practice event this week for his second for the year. Shark Slater 21 Lucky Hawes won the 9 a.m. international event or 8 a.m. Central Time.
We got him, guys. We got him on Eastern Time. Yeah, we got him.
And then Keto Man 335 Kian Tavakoli also won the later, I'm not even going to say the time, international
it's on the calendar.
For his first international event for the year. And then John Lancer won the LPP event, so he can contact Jim at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
That's right.
Not to be finished yet, because we also had the Heads Up event, which I signed up for and forgot was going on. So whoever got me as an opponent, you are congratulated for your bye victory against me. But B-Chip Charles Allen took down the Heads Up series.
Nice.
And has earned his way into Marek Madness when we hold that in March.
Couldn't happen to a better guy. Charles has been getting more and more involved. He's been a premium member for a while, but he's been really getting involved in the Fun Country online play and hang. I've seen him hanging out on Tuesday nights. He's been in a couple strategy sessions. So it doesn't surprise me at all. It goes to show these folks that get more involved, you start thinking about poker more actively, using those different parts of your brain to think about it. It has an effect. You will understand poker better. You will become a better poker player. So congratulations to Charles. No surprises there.
Just wanted to say Brian Morey, Taylor Moss, John Somsky, and myself, not to mention Doug Drabeck, are all OGs from our founding fathers' home game. And that's where I first met Brian and Taylor. So they're both, killing it right now. And of course, Doug Drabeck. And that's where I first met Doug Drabeck, was at our founding fathers' home game. So there's definitely some OGs and some crushers coming out of that home game.
I'm not surprised. Steve won the Player of the Year and the championship last year. I don't know if he's playing as much poker this year since he started all these new exciting ventures that he's working on. But it just goes to show, that's a strong group that you guys started. Was that What was the name of that home game club again, Rob?
He called it the Epic League.
The Epic League. That's right.
Yes.
Well, it's had quite a legacy. Quite a legacy.
Yeah,
Steve
yeah,
Fredland, if
definitely.
you're listening, your legacy continues.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
you had a lot of great players and me.
John. Oh, you can always count on John.
He's so
Something's
self-deprecating,
never-
isn't
He
he?
really is. He really is.
You're supposed to leave those for us, John. We're supposed to.
yeah.
We're supposed to come up with those.
Yeah, that's right.
You were a little too slow.
Yeah, that's right. We left a void. Well, I know Chris has taken over die rolling duties because of the great controversy of rolling ones all the time. So while he's preparing himself for that, I just want to scroll through some of these YouTube comments. So we got a few different opinions about Boxing Day. So that's something that people can go look up. Apparently, it's a British tradition. It's where you take your Christmas boxing to the trash bin, says John. That makes a lot of sense. He's like, you debox. It's a deboxing day. Okay, I like that. Phil really liked our interview with Sammie. That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, Evil Roy Slade. I agree. I love that story that you told from the ladies' event. I was surprised that you could even bring knives into the casino, but goes to show that's you learn something new every day. Well, nice to see Mary here in the chat as well. Welcome, Mary. I'm glad you could make the show tonight. Yeah, Phil, you've got your special show coming up on the 26th. Of course, you don't want to miss that.
That's the Phil special, right?
Phil special.
We've got all kinds of special guests, and
I say we bring him on.
Yeah,
I say we bring him on.
Yeah, no, just sit there, wait. We might you never know when people will show up, so it might take us a little while, but just kind of just sit back and just join us.
That's right.
That's gonna be a real special evening.
That was just for you, Phil. It does sometimes take a while to load or for everyone to get in there.
Does.
So if it feels like it's been 2 hours, am I still just gonna sit here waiting? No, we're
stick
coming.
with it.
Just
It's gonna
waiting.
be worth it. It's definitely gonna be worth it.
Yeah, it's just like 90% of poker players, they quit just before they'd make their big break. It's tragic. It's a tragic stat about poker players, but it's kind of true here. You don't want to give up just before we would have you on the special show there, just for fun, Phil. Michael Miller, thanks for joining us tonight. I was also looking forward to talking to Sammie tonight. Please do enter your questions into the chat here. I'll make sure to bring them up with Sammie later in the week. Or you can email me, Michael, if you like, jim@rec.poker, and send me any questions you like, and I'll make sure that Sammie knows that it was Michael Miller that asking them. So please don't be shy about that. Evil Roy Slade brings up a great point here. John, we're not going to let you get away with avoiding the asterisk here. So the reason that we have to do the makeup Tournament of Champions tonight is because last week we had PokerStars server maintenance issues that derailed the real Tournament of Champions and turned it into an asterisk Tournament of Champions that John won. Now, John, you won that tournament, right? I mean, it started, it played, you won it.
Well, yeah, that was I said I was going to win it so that we didn't need to count it. So that was kind of the whole point. And, I've never won a silver pin. Therefore, the fact that I won it means it couldn't have been a real silver pin. And, just right there.
But my first silver pin, I won in very similar circumstances. And I've carved an asterisk into the back of it, but you and the rest of the RECing Crew will pry it from my cold, dead hands, John. My cold, dead hands. And
yeah, you deserve a special pin like that, Jim.
I keep advocating that we need an actual asterisk pin. That we just that's like the most coveted of pins. Like how it's so hard to win.
That's actually a really fun idea, Chris. We should see what we can come up with that. All right. Well, just as long as you know, John, according to Evil Roy Slade and I, you'll always be the asterisk silver pin winner of the November Tournament of Champions. That's part of your enduring legacy now.
It's not recorded on the site anywhere.
Well,
there's
you're in charge of that stuff. You're in charge of all that.
That's the official record.
Phil Razor says the heads up shootout tournament was a banger. And I agree. I actually got my day job. I had a freaking meeting in the morning that ran late. I couldn't even play in it this quarter, but that is a really fun one. And Phil came in second. He got bamboozled again. And let me see. Did the free roll run at end of league? Dave, I'm not even sure what that refers to. Type in some clarification there, and I'll make sure that we get to that one. Phil says he's getting a haircut for next week's show. Yeah, Rob.
Are you saying that Phil got poker starred, as people call it?
I think that is, yes.
I've heard people call it poker. They got poker starred.
Joker starred. I think it's Joker starred. Joker starred.
Yeah, there's a few Rec Poker members on Twitter that are always going on about getting poker starred too, and Mark and a couple of those guys as well.
Yeah, Mark specifically, yes.
Phil says he's getting a haircut for next week's show. Phil, I would rent a tux. I would go put some serious money down on a tux, do it up nice, get one of those like light blue ones with the orange frill in the middle.
Yeah, you want to look good for a Boxing Day episode.
Yeah, you want to be on your best for that one for sure. Jim Gibson says Joe's shirt is awesome. Something tells me that there's a Purdue reference there. I know. Yeah, he's not the only one. Look at Rob's shirt. How great is that? See, this is the kind of stuff people miss out on when they're just listening to the audio version. You got to come check this out on YouTube.
For our audio listeners, Rob is wearing a Grinch shirt.
That's right. Taylor's not even here to appreciate it.
No. And speaking of Taylor, though, I do think we should, as much as I don't want to do it, we should also acknowledge his double victory.
This is true. That I did overlook that for the second week in a row.
That is, I'm so sorry to hear that.
So Taylor Moss did, in fact, win both of the Player of the Year points races. So he came in number one in the No Limit Hold'em Championship Series and number one in the Mixed Game Championship Series.
That is really impressive.
Outstanding.
And if someone doesn't do better next year, I think we might just need to burn the whole thing to the ground.
You know, what's amazing is in December of last year or January, like a year ago, Taylor called that shot. He said, this is going to be the year I'm going to win the No Limit Hold'em Player of the Year race and the Mixed Game Player of the Year race. And over the course of the next 12 monthly tournaments, that's exactly what he did. And it was no gimme. Rob, you were chasing his butt in the No Limit Hold'em one. I know Phil Fuhrer was right behind him for the Mixed Game one. Although, Taylor, I will say, Phil didn't play every month. So, I don't know if we have to like adjust this to like a per turn. No, of course we can't.
Phil did miss 2 months, and he was leading up until November. It was November's win that put Taylor back in the lead for the Mixed Game Championship.
Wow.
So it came right down to the wire, and had he shown up, who knows, he may have been able to take it away from Taylor.
Oh, this comment from Josh Campbell. If I study really, really hard, play every possible tournament, I still won't have a chance to beat Taylor. Well, never say never, Josh, but Taylor is a very sharp player. No doubt about it. And he's one of the RecPoker Crew members that offers coaching here, folks. So if you keep hearing us sort of dejectedly talk about how Taylor keeps winning stuff all the time, you could get behind the curtain and kind of see how he does it by getting some one-on-one coaching with Taylor Moss. If you go to the rec.poker/shop, you can see some coaching offers there. Chris Jones, myself, Tim Fritz, we do some group video analysis, that kind of thing. There's lots of different ways to get connected with our RecPoker Crew wreckers and find some one-on-one or group coaching opportunities to help you elevate your game. But yeah, Taylor's a freaking beast, and congratulations to him. Just goes to show that Epic Poker League, they knew what they were doing. So look at all this that has come from that. It's remarkable.
He's not doing it again next year. We're gonna stop him. I've shifted around some schedule now. I am coming for the No Limit Hold'em because I was not able to play in it much this year. So I'm coming for that.
Remember, next year we are only counting the top 10 scores. So you have 2 that you can miss and it won't count against you. Of course, playing all 12 lets you also have bad luck on a couple.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everyone to play as many as they can.
Yeah, great point. But it won't be quite as eliminating if you have to miss 1 month. So do circle
Right.
those first Wednesdays of the month, and don't miss
And
out
the
on
second
that. It is a lot of
Wednesdays.
fun. And the second Wednesdays for the mixed game one. Yes, that's right.
Yep.
And actually, I'm going to call my shot right now. I'm calling Taylor Moss will not win both the No Limit Hold'em Player of the Year race and the Mixed Games Player of the Year race next month. I'm calling it. I'm going to do everything in my power.
Yeah,
as a competitor,
I'll call that
table.
one with you.
Yeah, he's not doing it. He's not.
We might
he
have
can
some
listen to
wagers
this right
here.
here. He's not doing it again.
It's
not happening.
doing it again. You guys don't have to record our training material with him. The guy is insufferable. He's already guys, I can't
Well,
believe
I don't
you're
know.
taking this
he's
on.
not
How much
here.
are we thinking here?
He's not here right now.
Yeah.
But I will give him a $100 wager to his $1 that he will not win both of them.
Wow. All right. So a little extra motivation for
I
Taylor.
like it.
And trust me, Taylor would that might just be what gets him juiced enough to do it, because he enjoys the competition as much as
I
anybody.
didn't think about that. That might actually motivate him.
Yeah.
Is this truly 100 to 1, or is it just $1 to 100?
Yeah, I think it's yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
too late
well-
to retract the bet. It's live on air, so I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's already
It's
out,
100 to
so
1 based off a $1 bet. There's that
Yeah.
makes sense. I get
that is,
Right,
I mean,
right.
pretty good odds.
In other words, I am not accepting more than $1 worth of action on that bet from Taylor.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. We got one question here. How many players played in the Tournament of Champions that I won? It was a decent group. It was like 18 or so. The reason that one was an asterisk is because there was one scheduled on Sunday and one scheduled on Monday for some reason. It was just like a typo thing, so people weren't like forced out of one or the other. So it wasn't like it wasn't like a super asterisk. It wasn't like an asterisk. But yeah, it
Wasn't it though? I would call it a super asterisk. I think that was a super asterisk.
I think once you say asterisk, you're saying asterisk, and there's no, that's just
There's
it.
no, like,
I mean, there's no such, there's no
mini
degree of
asterisk and super
asterisk. Yeah.
asterisk. It's just
There's no
asterisk or no
degrees.
asterisk. Yeah.
Well, no, but the first bronze pin I won, that was a super asterisk because the tournament just got canceled like halfway through, and I happened to have the chip lead at the time. And so that was a super duper asterisk one. I didn't even accept that pin. Luckily, I won another home game that month, so it all just kind of got swept under the rug.
So if we want to talk about degrees of asterisk, I do believe there are degrees. And the tournaments that night, what it amounted to is PokerStars had a reboot, and only those people who had registered for the tournament prior to the reboot were able to play. And there were about 9 or 10 people in that asterisk TOC that never occurred. But there was the normal nightly game that 3 people had registered for. And not to, throw shade or anything, but that may or may not have been someone's 45th victory.
Oh, right.
Yes. And that was, now to his credit, he played heads up in all 3 tournaments that were held that night.
Yeah, that's insane.
So we had the 2 of them were against me.
So this should have been easy. How'd you win, John?
I don't know how he didn't manage to win all of them, but anyway.
Oh, that's great. Well, yeah, the ascent of Dave Westerveld continues. At this rate, he's there's like 11 days left in the year. Good Lord. I hope he at least has the good grace to wait until 2023 to win that to be the first one to win that gold pin. But we are all waiting with bated breath, my friend.
Don't worry, John. He beat me heads up in the heads up tournament. He got quads against my kings. So
no, quads.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I can't beat him either, John. So
yeah, he's got the touch. All right. Well, let's see. I think we've dragged these poor folks through enough of this back behind the scenes tomfoolery. Looking at the food bank list, Chris, it looks to me like Phil is first, then Josh, then Dave, then Mary, then the RRRCCC, then Michael. That feels like 6. I think it's 6. It's a natural 6.
A natural 6. I got a natural 6-sider right here.
All right. Don't roll a 1. And don't roll a 6 either, because you're the one that always rolls 6s. We want something in the middle here, please.
5.
Spot.
That's what I should always be rolling, by the
way. Yeah, no kidding. Well, I got good news for the RRRCCC. This is not their first time winning here on the show. Congratulations. You know the drill. Send me an email, jim@rec.poker. So you've won your choice, and this is what we're doing every week now. You can either get a free month of premium membership at rec.poker, or if you're already a premium member, you can get you can take that $15. It only costs $15 to join for a month at rec.poker premium membership. Is that right? 15? Wow, what a steal. If you're already a premium member, you can take that $15 and apply that towards a coaching credit. Any of the coaching material or services that are offered in the RECing Crew shop, you can take advantage of that, take $15 right off the top. But the other thing that you might be interested in, the RRCCC, is that we're also giving people the chance to sit in on our monthly play along deep dive seminars. This is something that Chris Jones runs every month. We take 9 members, 9 lucky folks. They get to play for about an hour, 90 minutes under a simulated tournament circumstance. We record that play with the cards up. Chris gets to see everyone's cards as they're playing. No one else does, though. And then we cut up, well, Chris almost exclusively cuts up a seminar based around the theme that month. And we get some amazing feedback from Dario Carney in particular, who takes one of the hands that was played, runs it through a solver, and adds his own expert analysis. So one of 9, so these 9 players, they get to play, they get to have their play critiqued by Chris and Dara. And it's obviously just a fun time as well, because we're a pretty social group. We tend to have a little fun as we play, but it's a fantastic opportunity to get some really expert feedback on your game. So send that email to me, jim@rec.poker, and we will take care of you, and you can have your choice between all those different wonderful options. We got a comment in the chat here, Rob. What page should we get to in the book study this week? Because we had our first book study session last week, and it was a huge hit. We got tons of people out there. I was excited. That was a lot really fun.
Yeah, we got through optimal play number 1. So we're going to be starting with optimal play number 2, which could take us the whole hour. But if we are able to get through that one, we will start the optimal play number 3. So, and I've got the slides all ready to go all the way through that if we get that far. But I'm not very convinced that we're going to be doing it.
We tend to find a few rabbit holes. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's a lot of nuances in what Matt Matros is teaching us right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of different than looking at solvers and those types of things. So it opens it up for a lot of interpretation. It's not just black or white. There's a lot of gray in there.
Mm-hmm. And Jim Gibson, yeah, I'm sorry, buddy, you just missed the food bank cutoff there. You're gonna have to enter that. Well, I was gonna say next week, but next week is the special Phil show.
Phil
so
episode,
I think
he wins all the prizes that night. Nobody else can win prizes that night. It's
just special ones just for Phil. You don't want to miss that one, Phil. But everyone else, you wouldn't really like it. You should probably go spend some quality time with your friends and loved ones. Yeah. But Phil, yeah, don't miss that one. Circle that one. The 26th, Boxing Day, Phil Razor special here on the RecPoker podcast. All right. Well, I guess, is there anything else that we want to talk about in RecPoker land? I mean, there's some exciting stuff coming up in 2023. Marek Madness will be here before we know it. We're giving away a lot more prizes with the newsletter and some other things around the website. We've got we're introducing a new RECing Crew member. You saw Joe Coolis in the chat here earlier, but we're going to get to know him a lot better after the holidays. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to closing the books on 2022 and seeing what the future has in store. I don't think we'll hit 2,000 members, but I am so freaking pumped to have gotten over 1,000 members. That feels like one of those things that, for real big organizations, that probably doesn't seem like a lot. But for a group like us, 1,000 members, like I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight. That's pretty freaking exciting. Oh yeah, and Phil's got a birthday coming up in January. I know he's heading down to Vegas, and if you win a tournament, he's going to buy me a new hat. Well, then I've got even more reasons to cheer you on, Phil, which would be one reason. So that's excellent. We're really climbing. We're climbing. That's a great ascent. Yeah, Jim Gibson says Phil is the prize. He's so true, Jim. You got it all figured out. All right, well. Is there anything else that we should titillate and tantalize our members with before
I'll
we
just
say
do a
our
little.
fond farewells?
I'll do a little quick Twitch plug.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna keep doing the stream Friday, Saturday, Sundays. I stream the internationals on Saturday. I usually stream both, and I usually play a bunch of small and mid stakes. Friday, we're having tons of fun, just hanging out, playing some tunes, and then Sunday I just grind the normal Sunday tournaments. So yeah, feel free to hop in. I appreciate all the support. Lots of rec poker people are there, so it's good to see everybody in there, and I'm looking forward to continuing in the new year and incorporating more of rec poker in what I do on the stream. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you have such a fun show. Like you have such a fun time when you're up there. You sure wear your heart on your sleeve, and you can tell that people are really enjoying it.
People are picking apart Daniel at the WPT, for knocking over the camera guy. Like I feel like that would be me. Like I see that and I'm like, that's me. Like when I play like this whole area, like I utilize the whole room. That's not very much space.
That's right.
And then also that seemed accidental to me. Like he just kind of like he was kind of like there was just the camera. I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was getting too much for that.
Yeah, they kind of ragged on him a little bit. I thought it was funny. Poor guy, poor cameraman.
Hey Ben, spell it out for our folks if they're listening at home. How can they actually find you on Twitch? What's the easiest way? Well, what do they have to type into if they're old like me? What do they have to type into the search engine to find you?
So you can just type in Twitch and go right into Twitch and type in the search bar. Just go in there and type in BJamin, so BEJAMIN 96, and you'll see me there. I'm also going to be doing some stuff on YouTube as well, so I'm going to be putting clips on there and just trying to get some more content and put together some fun videos and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's all to come in here as well. So yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we get to be a part of your poker journey here at Rec Poker, Ben. The future is bright. I know you're already making some plans for next summer, maybe that
possibly
could have some. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I'm fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Gibber chimes in and says there's usually a weekly slam of some equipment on Ben's stream. So
sounds about right.
So tune in.
Yeah, definitely. So far the most though, it's still in one piece.
So
I mean the keyboard is all good. So I mean we're good. Things are rolling. We're good.
Right on. Well, thank you to Ben for joining us, along with Chris and Rob and John and Joe here on the RECing Crew panel. They are the lifeblood of this Rec Poker group. And thanks to Sammie G again for one of our greatest interviews ever, I think. For everyone in the chat and for you, the listeners, we couldn't do without you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.